Welcome to another tale from the Magic Story Cauldron. Been a while. Excited to read this one to you. It's a contemporary story written by Regine Raymond Garcia, and I came across it when I was at Edmonton Airport with my daughter. We were going somewhere, like you often are from airports, and there's a machine there that is sold by Short Edition, and you press a button for a 1, 3 or 5 minute story, and this is one that popped out, and we just loved it, and I'm very grateful to Short Edition for giving me permission to share it with you here. It's called Tancred's Powders. Tancred cast a multitude of spells alongside his sidekicks, their saddlebags full to bursting with greed powder for the jealous, cannon powder for the warlike. They would throw them by the hundreds and thousands. There was lots of smoke and mirrors powders for the doubters, and runaway powder for the thieves on the run. Tancred led his band of trainee no-goods, who obeyed every click of his fingers and wink of the eye. However, he ended up creating so much hurt with his potions that even his most loyal collaborators ended up leaving him. Now, on his own, he walked for a long time, thinking things over. One day, he came to the village of the Iskul. Entering the village, he felt a new kind of unease, an increased heartbeat. He considered changing himself into, well, he had absolutely no idea. He really didn't know what to turn himself into. The same self who had always caused strife and discord in people's minds and hearts. The Iskuls were in deep slumber. The devilly gifted watchdog, Gaspar, who always slept with one eye open, smelled the brutal Tancred, who had passed through the village just the month before. Gaspar then barked loud enough to warn the whole village. He could recognize the smell of that reprobate miles off. The Mirabelle sisters had had a falling out because of Tancred, and it had taken 6 months to reconcile them. And the Grimaud brothers were still not speaking to each other because of the problems he had caused them in their love lives. The Iskulis shut their doors and windows, sealed up their chimneys, and brought their animals indoors. And they all shook with fear from head to toe. Tancred shouted out in a loud voice, "Open your windows! I'm not going to hurt you. Look, I'm all by myself." None of the Iskulis made a move. Their doors and windows stayed shut. That's just one of Tancred's ruses, they told themselves. Just another of his ways to get us out so he can chuck his evil, poisonous powders in our eyes. Up until now, Tancred had entertained himself by terrorizing people. But today, he just didn't feel like doing that. So he put his backpack on again to go in search of a friendlier village. He walked for a long time, deep in thought, trying to imagine what new work he could do. Cabinet maker, painter, fireman, flute player. None of these appealed. He even considered going back to being the wicked Tancred, since he felt really comfortable in that role. By and by he arrived at the village of Isnodir. When the cockerel caught sight of him, his wattle started shaking, and he crowed, "Watch out, Dog! Tancred is back!" loud and clear to warn the village, and then he ran to hide in the hen house. The Isnodirs shut all their doors and windows super tight, sealed their chimneys, and brought their animals indoors. Tancred felt the same unease of the day before, the same rapid beating of his heart, but this time mixed with something else, something new, a bad taste in his mouth. "Open up!" he cried. "I won't do any harm. Look for yourselves, I'm all on my own." And one brave Ijnodir shouted out, "Get lost! We don't want anything to do with you." "But I've changed. I'm not a bad person anymore." "What are you then?" Tancred thought for a moment. Didn't know what to answer. He touched the cannon powder in his bag and was tempted to chuck it all out into the wind. Being a bad guy is so easy. Being a villain is so exciting. But no more, he decided. He wouldn't throw smoke and mirrors powder at the doubters, or jealous powder at the envious, or runaway powder at the thieves, or cannon powder at the warlike. He put his bag on his back again and set out, crossing dunes, steppes, lagoons, mountains, rivers and oceans. He ended up at the village of Igir, where no one had ever met him. But even so, a camel saw him and recognized him and yelled, "Tancred is here!" The Igirs shut their doors and windows super tight, sealed their chimneys and brought their animals indoors. Tancred felt the same unease, the same rapid beating of his heart, but now mixed with something new, something different, as well as the bad taste in his mouth. His skin felt raw and tender. "Open your windows," he called. "I won't do you any harm. Look for yourselves. I'm all alone." The Igirs listened to him because they were open-minded and open-hearted people. "What do you want?" they asked. I want to make clay powder to heal ankle bones that are so brittle they break easily, and powdered almond for people with a sweet tooth, rice powder for granny's complexions, colourful powders for fireworks." The Igirs clapped their hands. "We've got all you need here to make all sorts of powders." Tancred felt his heart beating faster, mixed now with something else, something new, a smile on his lips, a glow all over his skin, and a feeling of happiness deep down in his heart. So there were no more frail ankles. The sweet-toothed ate their fill. The grannies had beautiful, smooth and glowing complexions. And the Igir town parties became famous for their fireworks. People came from all over the world to see them. Sometimes little arguments flared up, but reconciliation powder brought miracles. Tancred taught the Igirs the art of making the wondrous powders, and this art was handed down from generation to generation. Tancred finally got to live a happy life until the end of his days, surrounded by loyal friends, and his fame spread throughout the villages nearby. Story of Tancred's powders. See you again soon for another tale from the Magic Story Cauldron. Bye for now.